Okay, guys and girls, here we are. We're going to do we're going to fill a little hole here in our siding. You can see it right here, sticking out. Reality TV. There's one here, and then there's a dimple down here in the bottom. And the holes are up against plywood, so they're going to be easy enough to fill. The dimple needs to be cleaned out a little better. So what you want to do is you want to make sure there's no debris, no paint, no nothing in this hole. This almost looks like a BB gun. Okay, now we're not going to go crazy here. This is just for demonstration purposes. So you know what we're doing. There, that's nice and clean. Beautiful. You can see there's a dent right here. There's not much I can do about this right up here, this ripple. I can try and straighten it out, but sometimes you're better to call it well enough and leave it alone. It's a, it's a 1965 camper. It's going to remain a 1965 camper. It's still going to get dents in it. It's already, it's going to live. It's going to be used. It's not going to be sitting in a museum. So let's keep that in mind. Also, let's keep in mind that when we do these things, they're going to be done so that they are permanent to this camper. We don't want filler falling out and so forth and so on. So what I'm using here is a two-part epoxy. This is liquid steel, this is the hardener. Now once when I was a kid, back in the 70s, I was stupid enough to take a whole tube of hardener and put into a whole container of body filler. It was about an hour later, well, no, it wasn't even either. It was probably a half hour later. It was hard as a rock. So do small increments. Now, remember, the more hardener you put in, the harder and the less work time you're going to have. So my suggestion is to start small. I've got both here. Get them together on your little blade. Now I'm a fan of using something like a nail or a welding rod or something and mixing it like this. You're going to see, or not see, but this will make a chemical reaction and this will get hot. The redder, red for hot, the more red you have in this mixture, the less time you have to work with it. Now, I like to keep it, oh, I don't know, that's pretty good color. What is that? You pick a name, that's what color it'll be. But anyway, and I will also, a lot of people will use Bondo knives for this. I like to use a razor blade, and here's why. I can take that and I can push it in to the hole. Okay? Now, I'm going to come back in a little while and I'm going to fix that. Now this one, I'm only going straight across. I'm not going to get up into that top section. I just want to do the straight section. Now this metal has got to be completely clean. Okay, it has to be completely clean, and you want to take some good lacquer thinner. You can buy lacquer thinner at Walmart if you want, but I always find that you're better to use automotive style lacquer thinners, and they tend to be a little bit better quality than the stuff, they call paint thinner and such. I just seem to have better luck with it. And just take your time. Now we'll do this hole. Okay, well, let's do this one. We want the same thing. We want to push it in. And we want to build it up. We can sand this stuff off easily. Actually, if you do it right when it's setting, you can just take a razor knife and shave it off. Now, we want a mushroom behind this. We don't care if it's built out now, but we want a mushroom behind it so it doesn't fall out. That'll need a second coat. You can see this dent here. Look, we already used all of our stuff. You can see this dent here, right across the top. We'll mix up some more. I'm going to take a flat edge real quick with a little hammer. I am going to take the time here. You can see how this is compressed against here. I don't want it to be compressed against here. The problem we have with putting filler right onto that is that wood and aluminum both dry at expand and contract at different rates. So, oh, that was nice, huh? No damage, good for us. So they both expand and contract at different rates, okay? So if I attach this siding repair to the actual wood, then what'll happen is, as the wood expands and the metal expands and contracts at different rates, it'll just pop out over a short amount of time. And it doesn't matter what climate you're in. There it comes out. I'm not worried about the lines. I'm not worried about any of that. You might think, oh, he's really getting at it here. Well, sometimes, you know, you gotta get after it. There. Now I've got space behind the entire hole that I can fill in. Beautiful. It's a thing of beauty when Kevin's on duty. Just made that up. Not really. This rag has some lacquer thinner on it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little swizzle and remove some. Now I want to make sure that this hole is in. No metal is sticking out. And you might say to yourself, well, let me just get a ball peen hammer and give it a whack. I thought that too once, and I realized I'm not that good with a ball peen hammer. So what I like to do is line my ball peen hammer up and then just give it a little whack, a little at a time. In fact, that's all it needed. It's no longer sticking up and it's ready to go. All right, mix up the rest of our hardener into our metal. Make us up another batch here. Johnny on the spot fast. Alright, take our little nail, whoop, lost our nail. Take our little welding backup rod. There's different ways to apply this. You can see how this is adhering to the welding rod. That's kind of a nice thing, and I'll show you why. It makes it so you can actually apply pressure and roll it in. That's a different technique, and I'll show you that one on. This one we did a flat. Whoops, Mr. Welding Rod on. Man down, man down. All right, Mr. Welding. We'll take our metal and put it on here. Just give ourselves a little dollop. Looks like it's gonna fight me. And then we will just roll it in. We are actually, you can see it spinning its tires right there. And what's happening is while that's spinning, it's actually pushing it in to the hole. Again, we want a little mushroom behind it. You can see it spinning right into the hole. Or maybe you can't see it. I never know, since I don't have a quirky sidekick to do my video work. But hey, I'm one guy trying to teach you guys a few tricks that I've learned along the way. And I have a few tricks I've learned, not many, but just enough that I think if we all get together on this thing and just get out of our comfort zone is the main thing, and try and do these things. See that technique? It rolls right on you. So go back to my razor knife, and this is going to harden up on me really quick, so I'm going to have to keep moving on it. So go back to the top end one time. What we did was the first time we made a line right here with our first one. There. Don't worry about this, how perfect this is, because guess what? You can always tan it right back out if you don't like it. You can do it again until you get it the way you want. I don't know if you can see these dents over here, but I'm going to just keep filming in hopes that you can. I'm going to bring you up just a little bit. Now up here, it appears that something has gone down the whole side. There's a little bit left. So being the wise guy I am, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stop at that line and we're going to fill it right in. We want to constantly span both sides of the dent. We don't want to be overhanging going into the middle of the dent. We want to span both sides because we want to do a continuation of the siding. This takes a little bit of time to do, takes a little bit of time to learn, but it's well worth it if you're going to take the time to do a proper paint job on your camper. Why not take the time to do the prep work? Because, you know, prep work is unfortunately the most time consuming and the most boring, but it's the most important. Whether you're painting the house, painting the car, painting the chicken, prep work's what you got to get to. I can feel this is starting to harden on me here, so I'm going to move pretty quickly with it. Go right across that. Yep, see, we're starting to get clumps. Gotta move fast. Perfect. Fill in what we can, leave what we can. Now once this starts to harden, I'm going to take a new razor blade that's reasonably sharp. You'd be surprised how quickly these, if you use these for putty knives, how quickly the edges dull. It's just amazing. You can see I went across this edge. Now, we're going to go up from the bottom. We're going to make that go away. Then we're going to go down from the top. We are going to make that go away. Go back from this angle, right down the line. Now this is going to need to be, probably have another coat put on it because it dented in a little bit, but that's okay. This is just the base coat. This is not the finished coat. Now don't get, when you get to here, do not push the metal up underneath the side. Keep it out from underneath as best you can. I mean, once in a while, you know, what do? There. Looks reasonable. We have enough to do this last little guy. Let's try it. And this is a two-part metal epoxy. This will not come out of here. It will not come out. As long as your base is clean and you've used lacquer thinner against the metal and you put a little mushroom behind the hole. Now, going into a dent is different than filling a hole. Filling a hole, what do we want? We want a mushroom behind it. A dent, we just find our straight edge here, and we come straight down, straight across, and we stop again. Let that set up, and then we back into there. Very simple. Ugly as can be, but very simple to do. Starting to set up, look right there. Starting to set up, you can feel it. What you'll be able to do is actually, and it's a lot easier if you do it, is just move your knife back and forth. That'll need more filler too. Again, not going to be perfect, going to be way better. So that's what we're going to do with body filler today. This is a two-part metal epoxy. There's different kinds. I get mine at Napa. Whatever. Don't try and skimp on these things. I think it's like 40 bucks a quart for this stuff, but I've had this quart for going on 6 months, and I've done a ton of little projects with it. You can use it for anything. You guys have heard of JB Weld. It's a two-part epoxy, but this is a better quantity, and it's a better quality in my opinion, and it also is easier to work with, and you have a little bit more working time with this. I won't give the brand name out, but I get it at Napa, and yeah, so that's what it's going to look like. We'll let this thing harden up. We'll go ahead and mix some more up, and we'll take care of these other few dents that need to be taken care of, and there's some holes down here lower. We'll get this whole section where it's ready to go. I'll fill that in, and then we'll see if we can't go ahead and do a second video on how to bring the lines back in, and you know, we'll see her when she's done. When it's painted and so forth and so on. I've got before pictures from angles. We're going to do after pictures from angles, the same angles, and we'll be able to compare, you know, what we've got. So that's where we're at today. I hope this video finds you well. God bless you, and please have a great day.